Today we're going to be creating this futuristic year counter graphic in Adobe After Effects. Alright, so I have After Effects open. We're going to be creating like this futuristic year counter overlay for an intro video. I already have my footage over here in the project panel. If you have your own futuristic footage, you can just drag that into your project panel, or you can go to File, Import, find the file, import it that way. So I already have that up and running, and now we are going to start by creating a new composition to create our futuristic text animation. So just go ahead and click on New Composition. I'm going to rename this Futuristic Text. And I'm going to set this at 4K, and I'm going to set it at 24 frames per second. And this is going to be an 8-second duration. So I'm just going to type 800, click out, and that will set it at 8 seconds. And go ahead and click OK. Now the first thing we're going to do is create our shape layer. So we're going to be using the rectangle tool. And I'm just going to draw out like this text box. I'm going to switch back to my selection tool. I'm going to recenter this. Now, as you can see on the top here, you have your fill and stroke settings. So the first thing we're going to do is click on fill. And I currently have it set at none because I don't want anything in the middle. So for fill options, it's going to be none. And then for stroke, just go ahead and click on that. I'm just using the solid color option. And I'm going to set it at 20 pixels, 20 thickness. So if you go up, it's going to create a thicker outline. I want it set at 20, and you can kind of adjust it the way you prefer. So we're done with that. Now we're going to animate this. So right under here, under shape layer, we're going to go to the drop down, and this little add button right here, we're going to add trim paths. So you just go to add trim paths. And we're going to go to the drop down. We're going to be animating this start path. Make sure your playhead's at the beginning of the time graph area. Go ahead and click that stopwatch. We're going to start at 100. So we're going to start with nothing and then move this up to about 2 seconds and go down to 0. And as you can see, it creates this little text box animation. Now what we're going to do is highlight both of those keyframes. Right click on one of the keyframes, go to Keyframe Assistant, and we're going to select Easy Ease. And the Easy Ease option just smooths both the start and the end of the movement. Easy Ease Out would smooth only the departure, and Easy Ease In would smooth the arrival. So we are done animating that rectangle. Now we are going to add some text. So go to the text tool, click in the composition, and type year. Click out and then click back in and type 0. So we're creating two separate layers, one for year and one for 0. Now with the year layer selected, you can see on the right hand side you have all of your text properties. The font that I'm choosing, it's like a futuristic font that I like, is called Orbitron. So that's what I have both layers set at for the font. And you can see it right here. You can just click and type in and it gives you a couple options. So I'm going to keep the font at Orbitron. Now I'm going to go back to my selection tool and I'm going to resize this a little bit and drag it into the middle. And same thing with the number. As you can see, the text font changed, so let me just get it back to Orbitron. Alright, I'm going to drag that into the rectangle. So the next thing we're going to do is animate the number by adding an effect. So we're going to go over here to Effects and Presets. If you don't see it over here, just go to your window, make sure there's a check mark next to Effects and Presets. And then you're going to type in slider control, drag that into your text layer, the number text layer. Move your playhead to the beginning of the time graph. We're going to hit that slider stopwatch, and I want to start at year 1980. Then move your playhead forward to about 6 seconds. I'm going to finish at year 2090. Now as you can see, no animation yet. We have a couple more things that we need to change. So go to your layer, use the little drop down, And we need to parent the text to the effects. So we're going to use this little pick whip and just parent that to the slider effect. The next step is to add an expression to the slider effect. So this little stopwatch here, you're going to hit Option and then click on the stopwatch, or Alt, click on the stopwatch. And now we're going to type in the expression, which is Math.round, and then parentheses, and I'll put it up here on the screen somewhere so you can see it, because you have to have this exactly right or it's going to mess up. And then just type slider control slider with quotation marks and then end with the double brackets. And you'll know if you did something wrong. If something crazy pops up, you'll know that you messed up the letters or something on the expression. And there's a few different expressions you can use for a number counter, but this is pretty basic, so we can just use that basic expression for this. All right, and as you can see now, it animates the number. It starts from 1980 and then it'll end at year 2090. Now with the playhead at the beginning, we are going to create some keyframes for the opacity for both of the font. So you want to select your number layer and then hit Shift and select your year layer. So that'll select both layers. Hit T to bring up the opacity. So we'll be adjusting both of these at the same time. So go ahead and click the stopwatch. As you can see, it highlights both of them. We're going to start with 0 opacity, and then go up to about 2 seconds and go to 100. All right, so that's looking pretty good. So the next thing we're going to do is add an adjustment layer. So we're going to go to Layer, New, Adjustment. This adjustment layer will affect all of the layers below it. So adjustment layers will always affect all the layers below it. So we are going to add Venetian blinds. This will kind of give it like a holographic look. I'm going to bring this up to about 15, and then I'm going to adjust the direction to about 30, and then you can play around with it. It's kind of the directions of the lines, and then you can see like the more you increase the transition completion, the lighter it gets. So I want to keep this at about 15, and then the width of the lines, which I want smaller lines, so I'm going to keep this at about 10. And now we're going to add a holographic foil. And you know, there's a ton of different settings on this that you can adjust. I'm just going to adjust the text color for right now. So under tritone, I'm going for midtones. I'm going to create like a light blue color for right now. Then the next thing I'm going to add is a glow. So I'm going to go to Effects and Presets, type glow, and then drag that into the adjustment layer. In the glow setting, I'm going to bring up the glow radius to about 65. All right, so that looks pretty good. So now we're ready to pre-compose. And again, you can, you know, make little adjustments if you want to like center the text a little bit better. So to pre-compose, we're going to select the adjustment layer, hit the Shift key, and then select your bottom layer. That will highlight all of the layers. Right-click, hit pre-compose. You can rename this whatever you want, and then everything stays the same, and click OK. So now this is all one layer. And if you want like a little flicker effect, you can do that by adding an expression to the opacity. So you go to opacity, hit Option and click on it, and you can hit wiggle 12 and 10. So the left number will adjust the speed and the right number will adjust the intensity. So it just creates like a light flickering effect. All right, so now we are ready to bring in our footage. So I'm just going to, the clip that I had already imported, I'm going to drag that into the composition, and I'm going to bring it below the text layer. So I'm going to bring this up just a little bit. Now I'm going to adjust the clip that I imported in, I'm going to adjust the opacity. So click on the footage, hit T, that'll bring up the opacity adjustment. I'm going to have my playhead at the beginning, and I'm going to click that stopwatch, and I'm going to start at about 25, or even lower. I'm going to start at 15. And then I'm going to end at about 80, let's do 75. And you can even lower the opacity if you want this to stand out even more. And in fact, I think I am going to lower the opacity to about 50. Alright, so that's it for this video. So this just kind of creates a cool little intro graphic year counter for futuristic videos. Let me know what you think in the comments, and thank you for watching.